Speaking of the ISIS, the United States is worried about them. As Israeli warplanes pound Syria, there's another battle unfolding in the deserts. The US is targeting an old enemy, the Islamic State, or ISIS. Washington is worried about their comeback. Syria is in a state of flux. The ISIS could use this opportunity to mobilize its fighters and exploit the chaos. So the Americans too are taking preemptive action. They have struck 75 ISIS targets in the last few weeks. And these strikes come with a warning.
History shows how quickly moments of promise can descend into conflict and violence. ISIS will try to use this period to reestablish its capabilities, to create safe havens. As our precision strikes over the weekend demonstrate, we are determined not to let that happen.
Donald Trump shares these fears too. He doesn't want America to be pulled into another conflict. This is not our fight. That's what Trump wrote on his platform Truth Social. His team is tracking these developments closely. That's Trump's transition team. They've been talking to the Biden administration. They've been reviewing the situation in Syria. The Pentagon has also issued a statement. That's the US Defense Ministry. They say that their mission is to defeat ISIS.
There's a potential that elements in the area, such as ISIS, could try to take advantage of this opportunity and regain capability.
What is this mission? And why is the US still worried about ISIS? Let me take you back to the year 2014, when the ISIS was at its peak. They controlled large parts of Syria and Iraq. They announced the creation of an Islamic Caliphate. Major world powers then stepped into Syria, intense fighting followed, and by 2019 the caliphate collapsed. The ISIS was defeated, but it wasn't eliminated. Until July this year, ISIS had around 2,500 fighters spread across Syria and Iraq, and they have been launching attacks too. In the first 6 months of 2024, ISIS claimed responsibility for some 153 attacks. The group has been active in northern and western Syria. They're operating mostly in the desert now and near Syria's border with Iraq. In recent days, there has been more activity in these areas. Fresh clashes were reported last week. 3 groups were fighting each other: the rebels, Assad's government forces, and terrorists from ISIS. Reports say ISIS fighters are on the move again. They tried to take advantage of the situation and killed at least 54 soldiers from Assad's army. These soldiers were trying to flee Homs. It's a central province which fell to the rebels recently. All of these developments make one thing quite clear: the ISIS may be weaker, it may not have a lot of fighters, but it can still inflict damage. And that is what's making the Americans nervous, the very prospect. The US says the Islamic State is trying to boost its ranks. They're focusing on prisons in northeast Syria. These prisons hold ISIS fighters. We're talking about some 9,000 men spread across 20 prisons. Reports say they're in the custody of Syrian Kurdish forces. A US official has called them, and I'm quoting, the largest collection of terrorist fighters in the world. Now, ISIS is trying to free these fighters. If 9,000 men escape, the ISIS could easily mount a comeback with their support. And so far, they've not been successful. But the US is not taking any chances. Syria continues to remain in disarray. There is a political vacuum, and the ISIS is trying to take advantage of it. So the threat is both real and immediate. How many troops does the US have in Syria? 900. These 900 American soldiers are up against a re-energized terrorist group. The ISIS may have been weakened by years of conflict, but the group remains dangerous with thousands of fighters still in the shadows. If not contained, the ISIS could grow into a larger, more formidable challenge. And if that happens, the next American president may have a new war on his hands. Donald Trump may not be a fan of wars, but he may be confronted with the inevitability of fighting one.